Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity on behalf of my colleague, Senator from Kirinyaga, Senator Murango, who is on the way coming here, to welcome the students from Kirinyaga County. I would want to take this opportunity to tell them it is indeed a very good opportunity to learn what we do here in the Senate. And as they go back home, I would want to encourage them to work hard in school, to be obedient to their parents, the teachers, and indeed to follow their dream, because we started in such a schools like the one in, and I want to tell them that every dream is valid, and looking forward and moving forward, we know that Kirinyaga is one of the top performers academically, and I want to take this opportunity to welcome them and to wish them best, all the best as they learn the procedures of this house. This is the upper house, and indeed I, as Senator from Nyeri, I'm looking forward to seeing you later and joining your Senator to welcoming you to this house. Karibuni sana. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next order.
Order number 3, messages.
Next order.
Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Senate Majority Leader.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the Senate today, Wednesday, the 16th of July, 2025. This is 1, the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Kigumo Level 4 Hospital in Kiambu County Government for the year ended 30th June 2024. And number 2, affordable housing regulations, legal notice number 114 of 2025. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay.
Next order. Chairperson Jailak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the Senate today, 16th of July, 2024, being a report of the Mediation Committee on the Gambling Control Bill, National Assembly Bill number 70 of 2023, on behalf of the Vice Chairperson of the Mediation Committee, the Honorable Senator Alan Chesang. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I beg to lay.
Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Senator Karen Nyamu. That business is deferred. Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
Next order.
Order number 8, the Kenya National Council for Population and Development Bill, National Assembly Bills number 72 of 2023. First reading. A bill for an act of parliament to provide for the establishment, roles and functions of Kenya National Council, Population and Development, and for the establishment of the Board of Council and for connected purposes.
Next order.
Order number 9, the Culture Bill, National Assembly Bills number 12 of 2024. First reading. A bill for an act of parliament to give effect to Article 11(3)(a) of the Constitution to provide for the protection and promotion of culture and cultural heritage of communities and for connected purposes.
Next order.
Order number 10, motion, extension of time, the environmental management and coordination, strategic and integrated environmental assessment and environmental audits, number 2, regulations 2025, legal notice number 71 of
2025, legal notice number 71 of 2025 were tabled in the Senate on Wednesday, 9th of April 2025, and referred to the Senate Select Committee on Delegation Legislation for consideration pursuant to Section 12(1) of the Statutory Instruments Act. Cognizance that the committee is required to make a report within 28 sitting days after the date of referral of the instrument by the Senate pursuant to Section 15(2) of the Statutory Instruments Act, which lapses on Thursday, 17th July 2025.
Order, honorable senators. Senator Matthew, take your seat, please.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for protecting me. Aware that Section 15(3) of the Statutory Instruments Act provides that by a resolution, Parliament may extend the time for consideration of statutory instruments by a period of not exceeding 21 calendar days, noting that the committee is in receipt of concerns by the public on the imposition of exorbitant fees and justified and punitive fee increments through the state regulations, thus compelling the committee to further interrogate the issues. Now, therefore, the Senate resolves to extend the timeline for the consideration of environmental management, coordination, strategic and integrated environmental assessment and environmental audits number 2, regulations 2025, and the legal notice number 71 of 2025 for a further 21 days, pursuant to Section 15(3) of the Statutory Instruments Act, to enable the committee consider objections raised by the public and make its resolution on or before 17th of August 2025. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I request Honorable Ngatana to second the motion.
Mr. Speaker, the motion is a very straightforward motion that requires extension of time so that we can consider a memorandum that was brought by the Institute of Environmentalists. Mr. Speaker, this memorandum raises substantive issues about the charges that have been proposed in this new regulation. And Mr. Speaker, the contention by the citizens is that those charges are exorbitant. Mr. Speaker, when we were supposed to have considered it within the time, we were considering the matter of the impeachment of the governor of Isiolo. So that interfered with our timelines on the other side. So, Mr. Speaker, we are only requesting for more time as a committee so that we can give justice to the citizens who are raising issues with the proposed regulations, that there may be exorbitant charges that have been introduced. Mr. Speaker, in seconding this motion, I ask fellow senators to support it as a procedural motion and allow us to do the work on your behalf for the benefit of the citizens who have raised concerns and the country in general. I beg to second. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Priority. Now, honorable senators, I will now propose the question. That are aware that the environmental management and coordination, strategic and integrated environmental assessment and environmental audits, number 2, regulations 2025, legal notice number 71 of 2025, were tabled in the Senate on Wednesday, 9th of April 2025, and referred to the Select Committee on Delegated Legislation for consideration pursuant to Section 12(1) of the statutory instrument. The committee is required to make a report within 28 sitting days after the date of referral of the instrument by the Senate pursuant to Section 15(2) of the Statutory Instruments Act, which will lapse on Thursday, 17th of July 2025. Aware that Section 15(3) of the Statutory Instruments Act provides that as a resolution, Parliament may extend the time for consideration of a statutory instrument by a period not exceeding 21 calendar days. Noting that the committee is in receipt of concerns by the public on the imposition of exorbitant fees and justified and punitive fee increments through the said regulations, thus compelling the committee to further interrogate the issues. Now, therefore, the Senate resolves to extend the timeline for the consideration of environmental management and coordination, strategic and integrated environmental assessment and environmental audits, number 2, regulations 2025, legal notice number 71 of 2025, for a further 21 days pursuant to Section 15(3) of the Statutory Instruments Act, to enable the committee consider objections raised by the public and make its resolution on or before 7th August 2025. Now, honorable senators, the floor, of course, is open for debate, but this being a procedural motion, the committee is merely seeking an extension of time for them to complete their work. With your concurrence, I will straight away put the question, and voting is by voice. Do I have your concurrence? Thank you. So I'll proceed to put the question. That are aware that the environmental management and coordination strategic and integrated environmental assessment and environmental audits, number 2, regulations 2025, legal notice number 71 of 2025, were tabled in the Senate on Wednesday, 9th April 2025, and referred to the Select Committee on Delegated Legislation for consideration pursuant to Section 12(1) of the Statutory Instruments Act. Cognizant that the committee is required to make a report within 28 sitting days after the date of referral of the instrument by the Senate pursuant to Section 15(2) of the Statutory Instruments Act, which will now lapse on Thursday, 17th of July 2025. Aware that Section 15(3) of the Statutory Instruments Act provides that by a resolution, Parliament may extend the time for consideration of a statutory instrument by a period not exceeding 21 calendar days, noting that the committee is in receipt of concerns by the public on the imposition of exorbitant fees and justified and punitive fee increments through the said regulations, thus compelling the committee to further interrogate the issues. Now, therefore, the Senate resolves to extend the timeline for consideration of environmental management and coordination, strategic and integrated environmental assessment and environmental audits, number 2, regulations 2025, legal notice number 71 of 2025, for a further 21 days pursuant to Section 15(3) of Statutory Instruments Act, to enable the committee consider objections raised by the public and make its resolution on or before the 7th of August 2025. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. So, Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 45-2, allow me to reorganize the sequence of today's order paper. We will proceed to order number 7, and thereafter proceed to order number 18. Once we are done with those two, we will resume normal flow as contained in today's order paper. Clerk, you may proceed to call the order.
Order number 17, the Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill, Senate Bills number 7 of 2025. Second reading.
Senator Ledama Olekina. Senator Ledama had 17 minutes. Since not in the House, that chance is gone. Senator Boni.
No, it was moved by somebody else. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is a very important motion which sits not just at the core of the letter of the Constitution. More importantly, the Equalization Bill was about the spirit of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. Mr. Speaker, the spirit in the sense that in 1965, there was a misguided paper that locked out the so-called the Northern Frontier districts because they were presumed not to be contributing enough to the economy. In the process, Mr. Speaker, Mandera, Turukana, Wajir, Garissa, and so on, up to 14 counties, were left behind. So when we were in Bomas in 2005, and I would like the leader of the majority to be very kind to me on this one. In 2005, Mr. Speaker, he was in class 2. When we were in 2005, in Bomas, speaking to this spirit, we saw the need to make sure that the wrong that was done against Kenyans from these 14 counties would be righted by putting a quantum of 2.5% of the budget specifically for purposes of ensuring that we fast-track health facility development, roads, electricity, and access to health. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, as we speak this afternoon, I really wonder why we have never.
What is the point of order, Senator from Mombasa?
This one was in class 4.
Comprehend that the majority leader has talked about, that my majority whip has talked about, that our majority leader was in class 2 in the year 2005. My little mathematics, today is 20 years since 2005. That means Senator Cheriot in 2005 was about 7 years old. And I wonder whether that is it. That is now is 27 years old. And I thought he had already passed the level of a youth. And now he's in the mid 30s. Thank you.
Senator Faki, I've been patiently waiting for the point of order and the relevant standing order that has been breached, so that I make a ruling.
Order number 1, Mr. Speaker. He has to take responsibility for the issues that he is talking about, and it is not factual.
Order, you cannot invoke standing order number 1. It's not available to you. Proceed to conclude.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I know my brother, the senator from Mombasa, as a very strong Muslim. I wonder.
Just proceed to debate and conclude.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. He should consider reviewing his menu for lunch. Mr. Speaker, I therefore get very disappointed, not by this House, but just disappointed with myself, that how could I have been here for so long and failed to plead with the colleagues so that we make the National Treasury independent from the executive. It is because the National Treasury is not independent that all monies are assumed to be in the hands of the executive, to the extent that money due to counties is never released. As we speak today, over the last now almost 17 years, the counties that were supposed to benefit from this money, they are yet to get. What is more, because of something which I don't understand, and once again, I want to invite the senator for Mombasa to help me, because I was not here last time in the last parliament. What happened? How did you, as senators, increase the number of beneficiary counties from 14 to 34? Mr. Speaker.
Senator for Kakamega, would you wish to be informed by the majority leader?
Yes, I asked for it.
May I proceed?
Mr. Speaker, if the whip of the majority will be patient when I'll be making my submissions, because as part of Budget and Finance Committee that recommended that expansion of the list of beneficiaries, I will give reasons to him. So probably if he hangs around the House later on when I get an opportunity, Mr. Speaker, I'll explain why he's asking and the justification.
So, Senator for Kakamega, you can do whatever you wish to do with the information you've been given.
Sorry, Mr. Speaker, you have heard the leader of the majority. If it wasn't for the fact that he is my boss, I would have requested you to exercise for the first time in this House so that members can know something called a frivolous point of order. A frivolous interference with my debate the way he has done. He thinks I don't know what they did. In fact, that finance committee must have been one of the weakest. Mr. Speaker, in that committee, they recommended that amongst these 17 counties should be Kericho. Kericho, which enjoys rainfall 11 months out of 12 in a year. So that they would go and fight with Turkana, money meant to fast-track availability of water to the people of Turkana. Was that a committee worth celebrating, Mr. Speaker? Yes. In fact, if leadership was acquired through competitiveness, then leader of majority would have found a very difficult interview to make it to high office, because it is a very serious offense. I say this with maximum respect, no tribalism in my heart, because even back home in Bungoma, Bungoma has been allowed to benefit from this money. It's not supposed to. No. That must be relooked at, and this House, because we are a House of equity, equalization fund should be accessed by only the 14 counties. Mr. Speaker, you have had the privilege as a national party leader of the power to fly across the republic. Mr. Speaker, you have seen how the countryside of Kenya just looks like. You don't even have to be educated by anybody to know that this one deserving, this one is not deserving. We have to build patriotism in this country by saying that our brothers left behind, we hold their hands, we move together. You know, Mr. Speaker, when this debate was going on at that time, and Edwin, this one will amuse you, Sifuna, there's somebody who said, no.
Honorable Bone,
Yes.
you refer to your colleague as Honorable Senator.
Yeah.
You may not mind, but the language of the House, your brotherhood is outside of this chamber. May you extend that relationship
Thank you,
is
Mr.
not known
Speaker.
in this chamber.
Mr. Speaker, you know, sometimes it's so difficult to think in vernacular than speak in English. When I was thinking in Kiluya, in Luya culture, a younger brother like this one is always your baby. So sometimes I forget that he's a senator because he's my younger brother. It was actually a statement of love. Senator of Nairobi, you'll be amused. Some of the people who insisted that this should not be the case, no sooner oil was discovered in Turkana than they ran and bought blocks of fields in Turkana so that they become property owners in speculation that probably in that block he has bought, then oil will be struck. I tell you, these ignored counties that we have, I have named some of them, resources will fall there, and we shall all be running there or depending on them because they will be the prime movers of the economy of the Republic of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, having said that, I therefore want to amplify my thoughts on an independent national treasury. We should make the national treasury independent so that no phone call comes from the office of the president, from the Senate, from some other powerful ministry, either Prime Cabinet Secretary or Minister of Interior, to force them to push money to some areas simply because development is supposed to follow power. We would like development in this country, Mr. Speaker, to follow meritocracy. If it was following meritocracy, Mr. Speaker, the shock that I've received today, this morning, from which I'm still reeling, would not have occurred. Cabinet sat 2 months ago, announced that the road from Rironi to Nakuru, Mau Summit, Eldoret, Kabarengo, Webuye, Punkandui, up to Malaba would be a dual carriage. Today, the minister has come and has told the people of Western Province that goalposts have since been shifted to the extent that now the dual carriage will stop at Mau Summit, and the budget, which was meant to push it to Malaba, would now be used to now do a detour to go to Mai Mahiu and hopefully Narok or where. I didn't want to tell the minister because I would have been out of order because I have no facts. But could it be that the all-powerful minister for roads comes from Pomet, and this is why he wants part of that pie to be diverted to go to Pomet side to avoid it going to Malaba. This decision will have to be reviewed and possibly reversed. Mr. Speaker, you cannot lock out Western Province from such a flagship project. And even if you don't like the face of the people, mainly the men of Western, we have some very beautiful women from Western. At least use their faces to give them development, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I say this with a lot of pain. It is only a few years ago, Mr. Speaker, that a basic thing like a national school was being given now to Western, when other parts of this country have had national schools from independence. So much so that the majority of the elites you see from my region have had to make it academically by going to national schools outside the region. It is this marginalization that makes some of us get confused, get angry with government, and this, Mr. Speaker, might stop. And if they don't want to stop it because of the politics they want to pursue, let me teach them a bit of economics, which I don't understand. Economics says Kenya's #1 trading partner is Uganda. And when you add the amount of trade we do with Rwanda, we do with Bujumbura, we do with the Eastern Congo, we do with South Sudan, the goods and services that go on that road are the engine of the economy of Kenya in as far as import and export is concerned as a revenue stream. If we must grow this economy of Kenya, in this government and the government that will come thereafter, there are two minimums we must do. And that minimum is not mine. It was in Vision 2030, Mr. Speaker, of President Mwai Kibaki. It was, you dual the road from Mombasa Port all the way to the border. And it went further and said, and for information, Mr. Speaker, it's just a reminder to you, you are our minister in the East African community. You know the blueprint of the road network in the East African community, which says that that dualing would not end at Malaba, but the community will help the dualing to go all the way to the Kampala, all the way to Kigali, all the way to Goma, all the way to Bujumbura. Then we open the economy, Limb 1, and then Limb 2, LAPSET projects, Lamu, Seaport, Mr. Speaker, and then you do the roads all the way to Ethiopia and all the way to South Sudan. If we open these arteries, we will grow the economy of Kenya. We won't have to export our youth to go and look for jobs in Dubai and look for jobs in other funny places who have no idea how difficult it is for you to take care of your pregnant wife so that she gives birth, so that you educate that child. They don't know. We do it for them, and then we give them our professionals. We need to create these jobs here at home. And how do you do it? You have to open the economy. You think proactively. Mr. Speaker, I've had to emphasize this thing, and I want to appeal to colleagues. Let us make the national treasury independent, then equalization funds will flow, and other decentralized funds will flow. Mr. Speaker, finally, but not least, I want to use this opportunity to congratulate CS Mbadi. The Speaker, I had a meeting with Mbadi of 2 hours. That minister seems to know what he's doing. We only need to tweak him a little bit. He knows what we are doing, but he's under pressure of politics, whereby he's forced to then tweak some projects to Nyanza. Once you correct that, Mbadi is a good fit for that ministry. Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, I support.
Senator Faki.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii kuchangia mswada wa hazina ya usawa katika nchi yetu. Mheshimiwa Spika, hazina hii ilianzishwa mwaka 2010 kupitia katiba mpya, ambapo katika kifungu cha 204 imetolewa kwamba kutakuwa na hazina ijulikanao kama hazina ya fund, ili kusaidia maeneo ambayo yalikuwa yametengwa kwa muda mrefu ili yaweze kuwa karibu sawa na yale maeneo mengine. Mheshimiwa Spika, katika mgao wa kwanza kulikuwa na kaunti 14 ambazo ndizo zilikuwa zimechaguliwa kwamba hizi ni kaunti ambazo zilikuwa zimetengwa sana, ambapo huduma kama afya, huduma kama barabara, huduma kama za elimu zilikuwa zimetengwa kabisa katika maeneo yale, ambapo Wakenya wengi katika maeneo yale walikuwa hawakubahatika hata kwenda shule ama kupata huduma za afya kama Wakenya wengine. Mheshimiwa Spika, uanzilishi wa hazina hii ulikuwa kuona malengo mazuri sana, lakini baada tu kuanzishwa kukaingia mambo mengi ya kusikitisha ambayo yamesababisha kwamba mpaka sasa hazina hii haijatumika kikamilifu. Kwa mfano, Mheshimiwa Spika, baada ya kuanzishwa ilichukua muda mrefu sana kuweza kupata kanuni ama sheria endelezi, delegated legislation ama regulations za kuweza kuendesha hazina hii. Za kwanza zilipotengenezwa zilipatikana zina makosa kwa sababu hawakuhusisha county council of governors ama county zetu. Wao wakaenda mahakamani wakaweza kuzibatilisha, tukarudi tena na tukachukua muda mrefu katika Senate ya 3 ambapo ndio tuliweza kupitisha kanuni hizo. Na pia kupitisha kwake, Mheshimiwa Spika, ilibidi tutumie mbinu fulani ambazo sitaweza kuzieleza ili ziweze kupita ndio wananchi wafaidike, kwa sababu kulikuwa na watu ambao maseneta hapa katika bunge lile walikuwa wako tayari kuzipinga ili siweze kutekelezwa. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa zaidi ya miaka 8 baada ya hazina hii kuanzishwa, zile counties zilizokusudiwa kupata manufaa, Mheshimiwa Spika, hazikuweza kupata manufaa yale. Wengi walikuwa wamepewa zabuni za kuanzisha kazi katika maeneo ya zile county. Nakumbuka kuna watu kadhaa walinifuata wakati mimi ni mwenyekiti wa kamati ya delegated legislation katika bunge lililokwisha, kutaka kujua kanuni zitapitishwa lini ili waweze kumaliza zile kazi walikuwa wameweza kufanya na waweze kulipwa pesa zao ambazo walikuwa wanadai ile hazina. Mheshimiwa Spika, baada ya kupitisha kanuni, vile vile pia ilifika wakati wa kuamua zile kaunti ambazo zitafaidika katika awamu ya pili. Ndio hapo sasa zikawa sasa kaunti zimeongezeka, zimekuwa mpaka 34 badala ya zile 14 za kwanza. Kukaongezeka kaunti nyingine 20 ambazo pia wao walidai kwamba ni wametengwa, ikiwemo Kiambu. Mheshimiwa Spika, kaunti ya Kiambu pia ambapo kuna matajiri upande mmoja, watajiri wengi ama wakubwa upande mmoja na maskini wadogo upande mwingine, pia ikapatikana kwa ni kaunti ambayo imetengwa. Mheshimiwa Spika, jambo la kusikitisha zaidi ni kwamba serikali mpaka hivi sasa pesa ambazo zimetengwa kwa hazina hii kwa miaka yote ambayo imepita ni bilioni 56. Katika hizi, Mheshimiwa Spika, ni asilimia ama ni karibu asilimia 20 peke yake ambayo mpaka sasa zimeweza kulipwa ama zimeweza kutoka katika hazina kuu kwenda katika zile maeneo. Kwa sasa sio county, ni maeneo ambayo yametengwa. Tulitoka katika county, sasa tuko katika maeneo. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa hiyo japokuwa malengo ya hazina hii yalikuwa ni mazuri sana, lakini utepetevu katika serikali umefanya kwamba hazina hii isiweze kuweza kutumika kikamilifu. Na wakati tunaelekea mwisho wa hazina hii, kwa sababu hii hazina nafikiri ina kiwango cha miaka 20, wakati tunapoelekea mwisho wa hazina hii, kwa sababu tayari zaidi ya miaka 15 imekwenda, kuna hatari kwamba yale malengo ambayo yalikuwa yamewekwa na hazina hii hayataweza kufikiwa. Na vile vile, Mheshimiwa Spika, maeneo mengi pia yanaendelea kutengwa, japokuwa tuna serikali za county, lakini kuna maeneo mengi katika county zetu ambayo yanatengwa kwa sababu ya siasa. Kama mbunge wa eneo yako haelewani na gavana, ina maana kwamba eneo lako halitapata maendeleo, na baada ya miaka 5 litakuwa limetengwa kuliko yale ambayo yalitengwa kutoka wakati wa uhuru mpaka hivi sasa tumefikia. Mheshimiwa Spika, jambo lingine pia la kusikitisha ni sijui la kufurahisha ama kusikitisha ni kwamba wakati tulipokuwa tunapokea maoni ya washikadau kuhusiana na hii sheria ya equalization, kulikuja maoni kutoka kwa ndugu zetu hapa Nairobi, maeneo ya Pumwani, ambao walisema kwamba sisi pia tunataka tujumuishwe katika yale maeneo yametengwa, kwa sababu kwa miaka mingi hapa Pumwani, hapa Nairobi, kama kilomita 4 kutoka hapa katika bunge, Mheshimiwa Spika, tumekaa hapo, hatuna maji ya mfereji, hatuna huduma za afya za sawasawa, hatuna huduma za usafi, yani sanitation na mambo kama hayo, na kwamba wao pia wamesema kwamba sisi pia tunahitaji kupewa hazina hii ili tuweze kusukuma ama tuweze kuboresha mazingira na maeneo yetu ambayo tunaishi. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, na imani mimi kwamba itakapofika wakati wa kujadili awamu ya 3 ya kutumia ama formula ama mwelekeo wa kugawanya hazina hii, nafikiri kaunti zote 47 zitakuwa zimeingia katika mfumo kwamba zote zimetengwa. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, tunapopitisha sheria hii ni kuwa lazima tuangalie ni njia gani ambayo tutasukuma serikali ili zile fedha ambazo zinatengwa katika hazina hii zinaweza kutumika kwa njia ambayo zitasaidia wale ambao wanakusudiwa kutumikia. Mheshimiwa Spika, swala jingine ni kwamba kuna mgongano baina ya serikali za kaunti na vile vile yale mashirika ambayo yanatoka kwa serikali kuu kuweza kusimamia hazina hii. Kwa mfano, pesa zile ambazo zinasimamia miradi ya maji kule pwani, katika maeneo labda ya Kwale, maeneo ya Kilifi, maeneo labda ya Lamu, fedha zile zinakwenda kwa Coast Water Services Board, na pesa zile, japokuwa sisi tunashiriki katika na hii sheria imetoka katika bunge hili, sisi kama bunge la kitaifa, Senate, hatuna uwezo wa kuweza kufanya audit ya fedha zile, kwa sababu audit yake kwa vile imepitia kwa mashirika ya serikali kuu inakwenda katika National Assembly, na kuna mengine ambayo fedha nyingine ambazo zinaingia pia katika serikali zetu za county kusimamia miradi kama hiyo. Kwa mfano, miradi ya barabara mengine inafanywa na serikali za county. Kwa hivyo huu mgongano, Mheshimiwa Spika, inakuwa shida kuweza kukagua ama kusimamia fedha hizi, kuhakikisha kwamba zinafanya yale mambo ambayo yamenunuliwa kufanywa. Mheshimiwa Spika, wengi ambao wanafanya kazi hizi labda ni wabunge, maseneta. Kwa hivyo inakuwa tatizo kuweza kusimamia ukaguzi ama audit wa fedha hizi, ili kuona kwamba zile kazi ambazo zinanuiwa kufanywa zinafanyika, ili tuweze kutoka katika lile lindi la kutengwa na wao waweze kupata huduma kama vile sehemu zingine za nchi yetu ya Kenya zinapata huduma hizo. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi naunga mkono sheria hii, na kwamba lazima tuweze kuhakikisha kwamba zile fedha zinazotengwa kila mwaka kwa hazina hii kwanza zinawekwa kwenye sheria, zinawekwa kwenye budget, na vile vile pia zinalipwa kwa wakati unaofaa, kwa sababu hii ni kama zile pesa za dharura. Tuliona kwamba kuna shida hizi katika miaka yote kutoka tupate uhuru, kwa hivyo tukaweka hazina ambayo lengo lake ni kuziba zile shida ambazo zilikuwa ziko katika maeneo. Kwa hivyo iwapo tutakuwa tunaburuta miguu, serikali haiko tayari kulipa, mara tunaambiwa exchequer hakuna, hiyo ina maana kwamba yale maeneo yataendelea kubaki nyuma vile vile, na huu usawa ambao tulikuwa tunatarajia kuweko kwa hazina hii hautapatikana. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii.
Senate Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this chance to also join my colleagues in supporting this very important motion that responds to a need identified by Kenyans in the process of passing the 2010 Constitution, that there is need to bring equality across the country based on various factors, Mr. Speaker, which in their consideration, they sat down and thought, Mr. Speaker, that all parts of the country are not the same. And I have taken time, Mr. Speaker, to explain earlier, though perhaps the person that I informed, the Senator for Kakamega, either chose not to understand me, Mr. Speaker, was a fixed position on this issue, Mr. Speaker, and therefore found the information not useful to himself. Mr. Speaker, I am disappointed in the two members that have spoken. because they are both members of Budget and Finance Committee, and they continue to perpetuate a particular thinking which Kenyans disagreed with in 2010, Mr. Speaker, because they felt that without good basis, identifying and believing that there are certain parts of the country based on the general observation, Mr. Speaker, that people who live in a certain area, Mr. Speaker, are wealthy, and people who come from certain regions, Mr. Speaker, are poor, that is the basis upon which you determine whether the standards of livelihood are what being brought up to the same level nationally or being left out, Mr. Speaker. It is as if assuming, Mr. Speaker, that everybody that lives in Karen is wealthy. Yet, you know, within the abodes of Karen, Mr. Speaker, there is Kuwinda slum. Yet, everybody believes, Mr. Speaker, that if you are to just make a general determination and say, oh, people that come from a particular region, you should never address their needs. Because people that come, I heard Senator Faki say Kiambu, for example, that he is surprised why Kiambu makes it to the list. I would put it to them, Mr. Speaker, that in the year 2018, Budget and Finance Committee received a petition from members of the public. And they felt that the first marginalization policy passed by the CRA, Mr. Speaker, marginalized certain areas because it followed this kind of thinking that in the general interpretation and based on our own thoughts and ideas, that there are certain regions and there are certain parts of the country, Mr. Speaker, that are way ahead because of certain beliefs. They receive rainfall. I think that's what I heard Senator Alwale say. Other regions, because maybe they've had the opportunity of producing a president and things like that. That petition spoke to these issues, Mr. Speaker. Number one, that petition, Mr. Speaker, to our committee reminded us that a county is too large a geographical space, Mr. Speaker, when coming up with a marginalization policy. They recommended to us as a committee that we ask CRA in their consideration of the second marginalization policy, which is what is in force today, Mr. Speaker, that we ask them to be more specific to the least geographical administration unit, which in this country, Mr. Speaker, is a sublocation, and see the specific needs of residents of this republic based on where they live, Mr. Speaker. And the petitioners at that particular time, because I do recall what they asked of us at that particular time, Mr. Speaker, is that it is very easy to be misled and imagine that because of certain advantage of climate conditions or horticultural practices, Mr. Speaker, and certain beliefs that people have held about certain sections of a country, that it is possible to continue to perpetuate marginalization due to general belief that certain regions and certain parts of the country, Mr. Speaker, are well endowed. Second and most importantly, Mr. Speaker, is that we were asked to do a proper reading of Article 204. And I'd wish to read for the benefit of the members that had spoken earlier. Particularly Section 4, Mr. Speaker, which directed that CRA, the Commission for Revenue Allocation, shall be consulted. I don't just consult. You know, consult, Mr. Speaker, in this country got a new meaning during the infamous days of the, what was it called? Not handshake, the one between Kibaki and Raila. I forget the name. Katenusu, Mr. Speaker, after the post-election violence of 2007. You remember that on the floors of Parliament, there was a big debate about what consultation is. And I want to believe that it is on that background that actually Article 204 speaks to. It doesn't just say that we consult CRA. It tells us its recommendation considered before Parliament, that we must demonstrate that we did not just listen to CRA, we considered what they asked of us as Parliament, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, when CRA sat down and retreated to consider and give their proposal of the second marginalization policy, Mr. Speaker, they used sublocations, and they went across the breadth of this country. There are close to 50,000 sublocations across this country, Mr. Speaker, each with already determined matrices of measurement, particularly on the issues, because remember, Article 204 has asked of us that we try and bring, they use a very interesting word, to general levels of what citizens in the rest of the country enjoy. And they speak to water, roads, electricity, and I think there's a fourth item which I forget, Mr. Speaker. Out of their report, Mr. Speaker, CRA proposed to us that in their findings, there are 1,864, Mr. Speaker, sub-locations that will fall under the category of what you call marginalized parts of this country. I'll put it to you, Senator Boni Halwale, because you mentioned the county and the people that I represent in this house, that it is actually true. Kericho receives rainfall nearly 11 out of 12 months. But what do you do with rainfall if you come from a part like Soin and Soliat, Mr. Speaker, that the land is 90% stone? You can't farm on such land, Mr. Speaker. To build even a road in that part of the country, Mr. Speaker, because you have got to dig through hardcore stone, Mr. Speaker, is almost 5 times the cost of what 70–80% of the county will enjoy. And therefore, it was with good reason, Mr. Speaker, that CRA moved actually from the first marginalization policy, where equalization fund was being distributed based on this, what we know, and idiosyncrasies that we formed over the years, that this part of the country is rich, this one is poor, Mr. Speaker, and reduce it to the least unit of administration, and that is a sub-location, Mr. Speaker, in determination of which parts of the country get to benefit from these funds. It is also important that the report that you brought here, Senator Boni Halwale and Senator Faki, actually attest and gives history about this particular discussion. Actually, it's 1424, not 1824, Mr. Speaker. And I appreciate, because even in the report that the committee has brought out, Mr. Speaker, has told us that despite that decision, Senator Halwale, 60% still of these funds, they find themselves in the hands of the so-called, what you now traditionally refer to as deserving counties to benefit. That is a county of, and I think your report actually has a list. For example, in this bill, West Pokot will get 1.8 billion, Turkana will get 1.8 as well, Mandera 1.2, Wajir 1.2, Samburu 1.1, Garissa 1.1, and Baringo 970 million Kenya shillings, which tells you that they have not departed completely from the initial thinking that there are certain counties which generally, Mr. Speaker, suffer the bias of having been left by the rest of the country with regards to provision of services on those 3 or 4 aspects that the Constitution identified as important for the basic livelihood of an ordinary citizen of this country. And therefore, if you are found to be completely out of par with the rest of the country, then you meet that categorization, Mr. Speaker. 60% still falls under those particular counties, and the rest of the 40 is shared actually. Percent is shared in these so-called 30 counties, which people may debate here or there that either they deserve or they do not deserve. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I make the case that I believe that that committee, in agreeing with the recommendations of CRA, did something Solomonic, Mr. Speaker, because I would still find it difficult to face certain sections of my county, for example, and tell them that I passed a bill here on equalization funds, Mr. Speaker, to take resources to certain parts of the country by consideration, Mr. Speaker, that generally or traditionally they are considered to be poor, yet they will show me, and justifiably so, Mr. Speaker, that even us, we live in worse or as harsh conditions, Mr. Speaker, as those particular counties, Mr. Speaker. And the same can be said of all these 1424 sub-locations that have been listed in the second marginalization policy. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, if my colleagues hold the view that it was a wrong departure by CRA and by us agreeing with them, Mr. Speaker, I want to believe that this is the year that CRA is actually doing their consideration of the third policy on marginalization. It will be interesting to see what the present committee will do with them, and it will be of importance to convince us as a House, Mr. Speaker, to know why we need to depart from that particular logic. And for your information, colleagues, that committee actually was chaired by a senator from the north, the Senator Engineer Mohamud, who himself represented an extremely marginalized county, the county of Mandera. But when the facts and the figures were tabled, Mr. Speaker, he couldn't help but agree and say, this is justifiable. Mr. Speaker. That is what we need to do as a country. That any time we are making decisions on policy, Mr. Speaker, on determination, on any aspects, Mr. Speaker, we consider the true facts as they are. You know, the bigger challenge that we have as a country, and something that we must do over time, if indeed as Parliament we are to respond to the needs of, the growing needs of our people and the scarce resources that we have to distribute, Mr. Speaker, we must move to levels which have been done by other countries that have found themselves in states and situations such as what Kenya finds itself in, Mr. Speaker. For example, I know for a fact, Mr. Speaker, that generally in a country like India, when they want to pass subsidy of any nature, Mr. Speaker, that it is possible to identify direct individuals who qualify under that particular bracket, Mr. Speaker, and say, even if you're buying the same item, Mr. Aaron Cheruyot, you cannot pay the same price for that particular item with your house or domestic worker, Mr. Speaker, where they live, because you have a better spending power than that particular individual. As it is today in our country, Mr. Speaker, 60 years later after independence, when we want to pass a policy on, let's say, my favorite item that I keep on using, Mr. Speaker, is bread, that we believe, and wrongly so, that if you pass subsidy on bread like we do, that's why we zero rate it, Mr. Speaker, we have helped accommodate, Mr. Speaker, the poor that feed on it. While that may be true for many of us that are in the urban settings, Mr. Speaker, it is not an accurate representation of their item of consumption in the morning by almost 70 or 80% of the citizens of this republic, Mr. Speaker. And second and most importantly, Mr. Speaker, even for us that are in urban settings, there should be a price differentiation between those that live in certain affluent neighborhoods, Mr. Speaker, and therefore can afford to pay slightly better, and those that actually deserve it. It is until, Mr. Speaker, we do something akin or similar to what CRA did in the transition from the first to the second marginalization policy, Mr. Speaker, that we will then say that as a country, indeed, we are looking out after the welfare of those that are not as endowed as others, Mr. Speaker. Otherwise, this issue of making general provisions and saying it is commonly believed that the people in Kwale, the people in I don't know which part of the country are poor. They are more rich men sometimes, Mr. Speaker, in that particular county and can afford things better than even the so-called quote-unquote rich counties, Mr. Speaker. Yet we are not certain. Nobody has done actually a study to establish these particular facts, Mr. Speaker, on what will qualify to be a rich or a particular poor county. Yet we know Kenya Bureau of Standards, Mr. Speaker, publish these statistics. It is what we used on our formula, Mr. Speaker, when you're using poverty index, Mr. Speaker, to make a determination on what is a qualification of a particular individual. There's something that is of concern to me, though, Mr. Speaker. And I don't know why members of this committee approved of this without, perhaps maybe later, because I've tried to scan through the findings of the committee deeply. And your committees, Senator Boni together with Senator Faki, doesn't speak to the fact that the recurrent expenditure in this board that we created, the equalization board, for a body that distributes just 16 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker, is 504 million shillings. That is a lot of money, Mr. Speaker. And it will interest me to know whether you as a committee interrogated them and seek to establish what is it that is so complex about. CRA had already done the job. It is our duty, Mr. Speaker, to determine how much goes to each and individual parts of the country. So what is this job that they still have to do, Mr. Speaker, that will require a staff establishment that consumes an entire 540 million per financial year, Mr. Speaker? CDF, that's why I continue to say this, Mr. Speaker. We may not like it as senators, Mr. Speaker, but the way that law was structured continues to impress upon Kenyans, Mr. Speaker, because of how lean it is on recurrent expenditure. 97% of the funds that go to the constituencies go to actual tangible projects, Mr. Speaker. I think there's a capping of only 2.5% on recurrent to just keep operations office here and there and things of the same. It will be my assumption, Mr. Speaker, that on a matter as important as equalization fund, Mr. Speaker, that we will limit actually additional expenditure by way of salaries to individuals. This is such a matter, Mr. Speaker, and I say this with tremendous respect to the people that work in this institution, that you will have perhaps only one coordinator per county to oversee and ensure that whatever Parliament has appropriated, Mr. Speaker, is put to prudent use. They write a report, it comes to Parliament. If somebody has misappropriated the funds, Mr. Speaker, the laws exist on how to punish those individuals. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, that is a point of concern which I hope, Mr. Speaker, that when our committee gets to interact further in their nature of work, perhaps for the new financial year, Mr. Speaker, or later on, Senator Faki, you will come back to the House with a recommendation on how to take down that recurrent cost in this particular board, because it was a thinking actually of the Kenyan people that will spend more of these funds in trying to bring equality in the four listed area. It is further provided, Mr. Speaker, that in clause 5, that the authorization by controller of budget of a withdrawal from the fund, together with written instructions from the secretary of the board through the National Treasury requesting withdrawal, shall be sufficient authority for CBK to pay amounts given in accordance with approval and instructions given. I agree with this, Mr. Speaker, that it is the neatest way to ensure that once all the project proposals have gone through the rigorous process, Mr. Speaker, because we passed in this House last time the regulations on how to determine what project to fund, Mr. Speaker. And I like the fact that the Constitution is extremely explicit on what are the items that the counties need to be brought up to par with the rest of the country. You cannot, for example, Mr. Speaker, sit and say there is a particular item that certain counties have moved far away ahead of us, and therefore we need to catch up with them. It is limited to the 4 items that I named particularly earlier, and therefore it is my hope and plea that the controller of budget sticks to those particular regulations that we pass. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I celebrate the industry of this committee. Senator Boni Halwale had earlier invited me into a contest of which one was useful between the committee that I served in and the one that he serves in. Mr. Speaker, that is an invitation which I reject vehemently, Mr. Speaker, because it is served by members who are equally as good as we were when he served in that particular committee. Therefore, I wouldn't wish to engage in that debate. But I've given my thoughts, Mr. Speaker. It will be interesting to listen to them because you have the chance to vary that policy later this year, Senator Boni and Faki, that you lead us even into making it better than what the second one is, which is this one. And we will gladly support, Mr. Speaker, because I believe as a country we must mature to a level of refining our processes and procedures and making them better to ensure that we respond to the needs of the ordinary citizens. And using this basis, Mr. Speaker, that it is possible even to take this further in all the areas and sector, including on development, because I agree with my whip that when it comes to distribution, for example, of road resources, Mr. Speaker, there's a big problem in the country. Senator Boni Halwale, I don't know what the minister said because I haven't had the benefit of listening, and it will be nice because to the best of my knowledge, Mr. Speaker, what I read, the cabinet dispatch, read that there shall be an invitation through privately sourced funds through PPP, Mr. Speaker, of interested bidders and individuals to build the project similar to what we have as a Nairobi Expressway from Nairobi here all the way to the border in Malaba, Mr. Speaker. If there has been a departure, I wouldn't know, and it will be interesting to know. But what you need to know further, Senator Boni Halwale, is that I've just released from the Ministry of Roads on this very hot topic, Mr. Speaker, on the securitization of RMLF, Mr. Speaker, that it is meant to pay contractors, 580 of them, that have done work worth 175 billion, Mr. Speaker. What is of concern to me, and I have said this many times, Mr. Speaker, is that those opposed to it, including that particular gentleman who spoke about it yesterday lead on the list of the beneficiaries and people that have benefited from those road contracts being done in their constituencies. And Richo, when I returned home this weekend, Mr. Speaker, that they are not part of those 580 contracts, Mr. Speaker, out of this first phase of securitization. You know very well, Mr. Speaker, that after the political dynamics of the last administration, certain parts of the country, including the part of the country that I represent in this House, Mr. Speaker, were completely blacklisted. Not an inch of tarmac was done in that part of the country. Today, if we are told, Mr. Speaker, that in your consideration of how to finance roads, Mr. Speaker, the government cannot do some sort of equalization like what we are discussing here, it means we stay another 5 years, Mr. Speaker, without an inch of tarmac, Mr. Speaker. While we know for a fact that in certain parts of the country, Mr. Speaker, they have even overpasses and underpasses. Very beautiful roads, Mr. Speaker, which only donkeys walk on, Mr. Speaker, because there's nothing else to do out of it. It is not fair. I want to insist, Mr. Speaker, and I have said this to none other than the Cabinet Secretary for the roads, that this 175 billion alone is not enough. Until also we that equally pay RMLF, that we pay and produce tea, that pay taxes close to 50 to 100 billion, Mr. Speaker, per year, begin to see the benefits of that securitization, Mr. Speaker, we cannot say it is enough. Otherwise, what will later be prudent to do, Mr. Speaker, is to ask that we operate this like a hotel. You pay for what you have consumed, Mr. Speaker. You cannot walk into a hotel and say that now, since everybody is drunk, contribute. If you took an expensive whiskey, Mr. Speaker, while I'm taking konyagi, I will pay for konyagi, you pay for the material that you took, Mr. Speaker. Otherwise, what we are being invited to is further marginalization, which this bill is speaking to, that indeed at a particular point in time in our country, Mr. Speaker, we need to tell each other the truth and say that because there were counties that for the last 60 years were marginalized, Mr. Speaker, we provide certain funds for them to benefit, which is what this bill is asking us to do. Let us not entrench further marginalization, even in the advent of the new constitution, Mr. Speaker. With those very many remarks, I beg to support, Mr. Speaker, and hope that we can conclude on this so that the benefiting 1,402 sub-locations, Mr. Speaker, can benefit from these 16.9 billion Kenya shillings. I thank you.
Senator for Nairobi City County.
Speaker, you know, on many occasions I've had the majority leader threaten to bring a document that he happens to have seen in the office of the CS for roads that shows the inequity in the distribution of road projects over the past donkey years. But he never tables that document because not all of us have the benefit of access to the CS of roads or to his office. There was an invitation that was made here in the morning by CS Chirchir, a person that I respect greatly, that he wanted to spend some time with me to explain to me the plans for the ministry. I will politely decline that invitation, Honorable Speaker. I have become very averse to conversations that I had in private. I was elected to a public space so that everybody can see what it is we are having that conversation, what conversation we are having in these dark areas, Honorable Speaker. Because the public also needs to partake of this information. So, Majority Leader, I want to encourage you that next time, please bring to us that document because we hear a lot of stories, Honorable Speaker. But secondly, Speaker, I wanted to say that I think you have a responsibility as the head of this House to ensure that every senator who comes to this House gets opportunity to travel to every corner of this country. I was in Mandera, and the Honorable Speaker, because I'm a Luya, I'm a Bukusu man, I believed that the sweetest meat you can eat is chicken meat that is cooked by your mother. When I go to Mandera, Honorable Khalwale, they have meat they call nyiri nyiri. It is camel meat. It is extremely sweet. And when I was there, I said, Mr. Speaker, if you are just used to eating in your mother's house, you will believe that your mother is the best cook. People need to move from the areas and see the suffering that is out there. Mandera County, an entire county, has no access to electricity. Then you come and tell us, Honorable Speaker, anyway. Speaker, there is a community called the Chamus that live in Baringo. I have had occasion to go to Baringo. Honorable Speaker, those people live outside. When it rains, they are rained on. If you see the features in the news about how the people are living in those places, it is despicable. Then you come and tell us stories here about your area is also marginalized. People need to travel, Honorable Speaker. And when you are in this house, no wonder I support these senators who call themselves a senator of the Republic of Kenya. You are a senator for the whole republic. For the whole republic. When you vote here, you're just voting for your village. You're voting for all of these people. And all of these people require you to petition on their behalf. Speaker, if you look at Article 204, Sabbatical 2, the framers of this constitution, fortunately for me, when Bomas was happening, I was not in primary school. I was at the University of Nairobi. We were those students who were being tear-gassed inside the university buses by police when we were going to protest the killing of Mbai, Honorable Speaker. We started eating tear gas at a very early age. And we want to stop eating tear gas. In future generations, we don't want to be using these weapons on our children. The spirit of the Constitution, Honorable Speaker, when they were framing it, they spoke about Article 204, Sabbatical 2, the basis, the rationale for this fund is to provide basic services, just basic services, including water, roads, health facilities, and electricity to marginalized area to the extent necessary to bring the quality of those services in those areas to the level generally enjoyed by the rest of the nation as far as possible. So, when you want to start measuring marginalization, first of all, can we agree, what is the level of these services generally enjoyed by the rest of the nation? Honorable Speaker, where I come from, we are very blessed, and I wish the senator was here. Water comes from the ground in Bungoma. Yes, water comes from the ground. The people of Mandera have never experienced that phenomenon. So how can I drag money for water from Mandera to Bungoma? What conscience is that, Honorable Speaker? What argument would you make to justify that? There is no justification. We have the largest solar power plant in the country, somewhere in Marsabit in Longalayani, but the people of Marsabit themselves don't have power. That power, they just see it flying on top of them. Then it goes to Suswa in Narok, and the rest of you here come and tell us, oh, we also need money. I think we need to be serious, Honorable Speaker. So, for me, really, I don't have a problem with some of the things that the majority leader has said, that there was need to relook at the formula, then we come to the smallest possible unit. There is no problem. How I wish we had done that after we had helped the counties, the initial counties, to benefit from this fund so that we realize the initial objective of this particular fund. I would have no objection. Because even here in Nairobi, Honorable Speaker, just last week, I brought a statement before the Committee on Energy. There are entire wards that have gone years without electricity. Hospital ward in Madare has gone 4 years without electricity. In Majengo, Honorable Speaker, in Kamukunji, Gorofani, people have gone for 2.5 years without electricity. In Embakasi South, there are places that don't have electricity. Honorable Speaker, the spirit of this thing is not about whether you are rich or poor. The spirit is services. The spirit is services. It's based on services and availability of services. If there is a road that splits Karen, on this side there is a slum, and on this side there is a golf course. You are going to the same place, you are using the service, it's the road, it is there. What we are speaking to, Honorable Speaker, is access to these services on a basic level. You go to the Mandera Hospital, Honorable Speaker, it serves 3 countries. There's people who come from Ethiopia, there's people who come from Somalia, all of them are there. A county that has seen the first kilometer of tarmac after we introduced devolution. This is 2013. People have been driving on tarmacs from the 1960s. These guys are seeing tarmac in 2013. That is what this particular provision had come to address. So even as we speak, Honorable Speaker, I have challenged you. I remember when we were doing the campaign in 2022, because we wanted cultural exchanges we would get buses of people from Homa Bay who have never been past Nakuru to go all the way to Kirinyaga. They want to see how a potato farm looks like. How this brother of mine, what is this environment or weather that makes his hair grow the way it does? People need to experience other people's lives. We would take buses of people from Mount Kenya who have never gone past Nakuru, and who, if they are told that Bukusus in Bungoma eat people, they believe it. They have to go and see my grandmother's house and see that we eat just what they eat as well. In this house, Speaker, I'm challenging the Speaker to make sure, and I will give you a list of senators that I believe need to travel so that they can forget their mother's food and see how other people are living. So that when you speak here, Honorable Speaker, know that you are speaking for the entire Republic. So when we talk about marginalization, Speaker, people are living in squalor. My good friend here, the Senator for Narok, has a project that he invited me to join him in, just to build basic structures for the Ilchamus in Baringo. And all of you, Honorable Speaker, must join in that effort because it is a noble cause. It is a very noble cause. So, Speaker, when I see these figures here, if you talk about Samburu, Narok, West Pokot, Wajir, Turkana, Tana River, those are places everybody knows. If you go to Tana River, and my brother is here, there was a time the senator for Tana River was there in Hola when it had flooded, and I saw the condition of your people. They were living on the road, in makeshift paper houses. Then somebody is here in Nairobi making noise telling us about building affordable housing. The housing that Ledama is building for Ilchamus is more valuable to that community than some of these high-rises we are doing here. People are making money from tender for supply of materials. Then they come and tell us they are doing affordable housing. Speaker, it breaks my heart, the conditions in which our people find themselves, and a leadership that appears to be blind to what the people really desire and deserve. So with those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I would want that we revisit the spirit, the original spirit of this Constitution. The original spirit of this Constitution was to raise the standards of these services, Honorable Speaker, to the level that we all enjoy, or majority of us enjoy. Water, roads, health services, and electricity. Until every Kenyan is on the grid, please don't tell us you are marginalized. Don't talk to us about marginalization when at least you can access a health center, even if it doesn't have all the drugs you have. If you don't have, you shower twice. You shower twice in a day, but there are Kenyans who have no access to drinking water. Then you come and tell me, oh, yes, I'm being told by the leader of the Maasai that some communities are even using cow urine to shower. And here people are soaking themselves in bathtubs, Honorable Speaker, twice a day. It is very unfair. It is very unfair. And this is a situation that we must correct. With those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I support.
Senator Wamatenga.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity also to weigh in this very, very important matter. Indeed, Mr. Speaker,